Hey everybody, welcome to MD's Tampa Pro Preview, starring this man, Giles Tiger Thomas, coming to us live, well, kind of live, from the On the Rise Media Studios over in jolly old England, where they just opened up gyms. And Giles, how excited are you for the contest season to finally get going again after this long period of inactivity?
To be honest, mate, I don't think it's affected me as much as everybody else because because in lockdown I obviously got the home studio and everything now with for Global Muscle. I think it didn't really affect me as much because I was kind of doing my column for MD, my Global Muscle Buzz column. I was doing Global Muscle every week, so I was still kind of getting my bodybuilding fix every week, you know. So it didn't really affect me, but I am really excited. I mean, I was just saying to the producer Carlene today, I said this is a big deal. I said for this show, the Tampa show, to go well, this is really going to set a precedent and kind of build the hype now for Chicago and Boston and all these other New York Pro, and Spain show in was it 10 weeks. So really, if this one goes well, it's really going to kind of rejuvenate because really we've had nothing really since the Arnold Classic. I mean the Arnold Classic feels like a lifetime ago now. It was only, 6 months, 5, 6 months?
It was 5 months. Yeah, it was the end of February, beginning of March. It does seem like it was forever. And because like by now, I would have been to like 5 or 6 shows by now at this point in the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've all been put on hold. So this will be the litmus test to see, social distancing, masks, all that's going to be in effect to keep everybody safe. And it's in Florida, which is one of the hardest hit states in the USA. So we're going to be I'm going to be extra careful down there. Sorry, wellness girls, you don't get a hug. I know they're devastated. But let's talk about this show because this is it's a great lineup. It's a great way to get back into the swing of the pro contest season. Let's start with open because this is looking to be it's going to be the debut of Hunter Labrada, who turned pro almost 2 years ago at the NPC Nationals. Of course, he's the son of Lee Labrada, the legendary Olympia competitor, one of the greatest bodybuilders of the 80s and early 90s. And his son is carrying on the legacy. Let's talk about him first. I know I've been waiting to see this kid on stage for a long time, and he's really bided his time and made all the improvements. Have you been following him all along this time to watch him grow?
Yes, and I know that, and I think this has been an actual blessing for him at this point because this guy has been on prep for how long? Since January, surely.
Yeah.
January, February.
He was going to do New York Pro in May originally.
Yeah, he must have been on prep since like February, and he's literally grown into the show. He's got harder, fuller. I mean, I did rate him before, like a couple of months ago, but it's the last couple of months by staying on prep and really staying focused. He's really managed to kind of he looks like a world beater now. I mean, whereas before I thought, oh yeah, he could potentially, be top 3 at a pro show. Now I'm thinking he's going in as like the favorite because he just looks, I mean, every angle, every single angle, every pose, he's complete. The rear lat spread, his riddle bicep, he's detailed. He kind of reminds me of like Flex Lewis from the back, but thicker. Yeah. He's dense. He's just, I don't think he's got a bad pose. I mean, I don't think he's got the tiniest waist. But real density and granite kind of hardness in the quads and everything. And he has, he looks great without the tan on. When he puts the tan on and he's dried out and filled out, he's going to look absolutely sensational. And I did have, I won't mention their names, but I did a conference call on Skype last week with 2 very, very notables in the industry. And they were saying he could not only win Tampa, but one challenged me and says, why can't Hunter win the Olympia this year? That's what he said to me. And he says, tell me why. And he says, you're saying he could possibly make top 6 at the Olympia. I know, yeah. That's what I said. But when he and the other guy kind of went, well, yeah, I agree. I think he could go in. He says, it's this year especially, he said he could go in as one of the favorites. And it completely blew my mind. But I'm kind of thinking this guy is just, there's a lot of expectation, but to be honest, from what I've seen and from what people are saying, he's really going to go in. This is really going to be his year, for 2020. It's just going to be a good year for someone,
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of expectations, just like Sergio Oliva a few years ago when he made his pro debut. Yeah, his dad was a legend, and people have these expectations on their children to be as good or better. And Hunter's basically a taller, heavier version of his dad. you know, not quite as streamlined and aesthetic, but of course he's 70, 80 pounds heavier. So you're not gonna get the same exact look. But I'm very excited to see this kid. As far as
How,
win the
how,
Olympia, I don't know. Let's see. Let's wait.
how tall is he? How tall is he, Ron?
He's about 5'10", 5'9", 5'10", somewhere in
I
there.
didn't realize he was that tall. I didn't realize
Yeah,
he was that tall. Right, okay. Because Lee Labrada was what, 5'5", and he was about
5'5".
180, 190 on. I think the heaviest he competed at in 1995. I think he went up to about 190ish. That was it. He never even hit 200 pounds.
Right.
So his son obviously is going to be, if he's 5'10", I mean Hunter must be looking 250, 260.
Yeah.
But he's got a kind of bit of a Branch Warren look to him. I think in some of the pictures that Nick Del Toro took the other week, they were taken from a slight angle. You could see the real kind of how dense and how sort of not just wide, but how thick he was and how the quality of the muscle. I mean, I definitely, it reminded me, there was a reminiscent of a Branch Warren, you know, at his best.
Yeah, and you know, to his credit, I did a online interview with him about a month ago, and he had, I think, a torn labrum that he had repaired. So he was out of training, out of upper body training for quite a while. I think he said he'd only been back to like really proper 100% training for maybe a few months before he had to start prep for this. So, yeah, to his credit.
He's got real kind of like real muscle, you know, there's nothing bloofy. There's no, this cleans. I like to see that level of, like the kind of Branch, the Dorian look where it's dense, it's round, it's full, but it's detailed as well. Like in the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, the calves, he's not missing anything. So I'm really, really excited to see what he's bringing on in Tampa this weekend.
And the other favorite, obviously, is Canada's Ian Valliere, who has that same type of dense, thick, grainy muscle like a Branch or a Dorian. You know, they match up quite well. I think they're similar height, similar weight. It's going to be a tough job for the judges. You know, Ian's knock was he needed a lot more chest, and he's put a good amount of pec thickness on since last season. He's been working with Patrick Tour for this show, and he's been growing into prep. I think he started prep. He meant to do a show earlier on, like most of these guys did. I don't think most of these guys are on exactly the schedule they had planned on for this year. But
they're all in the same boat.
But Ian Valliere, it's I'm not going to say two-man show because there's a couple other guys we're going to talk about, but Ian's definitely a favorite. He was third last year behind Dexter and Luke Sando, and it was a very strong third place. I mean, if you didn't have those two guys show up at Tampa, Ian would have had another pro win.
What is it with what is it with the Tampa show in 20? I was there in 2017, and you had Max Charles versus Josh Lenartowicz, and that was a real kind of two-man battle. Last year, 2018, you had Alexis Rivera, Sergio Oliva taking it down to the wire, really big, you know, kind of, they really dragged it out and they really fought for it. 2019, you had Luke Sando versus Dexter Jackson. There's something about this, there seems to be a bit of a theme of a two-man show. So, I mean, all things, if they both turn up at their best, which I think they will, I've got a feeling it might come down to those two. I think that's the one. I think everyone's kind of assuming that they'll be 1 and 2. I mean, obviously anything can happen, but I really do think, I mean, Valliere, he's really, Patrick Tour sent me a front last spread picture of him on WhatsApp last week, and he said, who does this remind you of? And I said, it's like a cross between Dorian Yates and Lee Priest. You know, that kind of, in fact, he's smaller waist than Dorian, you know, more. It just looked cartoonish, because I think Ian Valliere, I said in my MD Global Muscle Boss column, I think he's got the best side tricep pose, like literally the one that Dorian would give his nod of approval. So I think I really rate Ian Valliere. He didn't really hit the mark last year, and because I thought he would be knocking on 6 to 8 at Olympia, you know, in the last year or two. But I'm excited to see what he's done with Patrick, how he's improved, and also don't forget if you look at a lot of his in the last few months, a lot of his training has been done in like a home gym, like very basic equipment. Very sort of squats. I mean, squat racks, and you know, and it seemed like a very basic gym he's been training. But credit to him for still being able to make improvements. It's incredible.
Yeah, and now Samson Dauda. How do you say his last name? You would know.
Dauda. Nigerian.
Is he able to travel? Because I believe UK can travel to US now. Is that right?
I think. Am I correct? I think he's already over there. I think he's traveled.
I mean, he's on the list.
No, he said he's definitely there, and I saw some pictures of him. I had him on Global Muscle a few weeks ago, and he's looking superb, and he's another big guy. He's another one who's actually heavier than he looks because he's a tall, wide man. He's got a big frame. He's got beautiful aesthetics. I mean, he's almost got like Sean Roden aesthetics, that kind of the lines, the mass, the roundness. I saw some pictures from a week out, and he looked crisp, but you could tell he needed to pull water and kind of fill out, and hopefully he can do that this week. But he really hit his peak when he came second to Nathan D'Asher at the British Grand Prix last year, and then he went to Portugal, and he was getting kind of like top 6, 7th, he was getting good placings, but not as good as when he did the British Grand Prix. He beat James Hollinshead. He beat a lot of good pros. But Samson's absolutely, unless he does something crazy, he's going to be absolutely first call out, and I could see him rounding out the top 3.
Yeah, and the last guy I'm going to talk about in open is Joe Mackey, who both of us interviewed recently. This guy out of Texas. Like I said, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to him until this year when I started seeing more pictures of him, and he's made improvements. Big guy, massive shoulders and arms. He's just all kinds of mass and thickness on him, and the condition seems like it's right on. I see him as a first call out in this show too.
Yeah. His condition looks good. His detail's good. I mean, because I got him on the other week, and I didn't really know. I knew that he was, he was in from down. I knew where he was from. I knew little bits about him, but I wanted to get him on to know him. I really liked the guy. I thought he was a really interesting guy. And he kind of reminds me when he did, there was some shots he posted last week, I think at Destination at Gasp. And he was doing a side tricep, and the striations in his chest, it reminded me of 98 Olympia Ronnie Coleman. It just like the shape of it and the detail, it reminded me of like an early Ronnie Coleman. And I just, because he's a very smart guy. I like him. I think he's going to go far, and I think I forgot he said his age. I'm sure he said he was early 30s. Yeah. And he just seemed
like 33, 34, something like that.
Yeah. So he's really, this could be a really good year for him to really move up. And I think he's going to move up. I think he's going to be a force in this show. I'm just one guy to keep an eye on, and I think he's doing it right. I like he's got good detail for a guy that big. I mean, he's like in the 260s, 270s, and I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on. Definitely.
So open is going to be a good class, but I'm a little more excited, to be honest with you, about the 212.
Can I? Sorry, 1 second to interrupt.
Oh yeah.
I tell you who really, really, really impressed me in the photos that I've seen the last couple of days is Dorian Haywood.
Yeah, I just interviewed him. I should have mentioned him.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, do you know what? I remember we were sat next to each other at the 2017 Tampa, and I don't think he got a good placing. I don't think he was around 10th, 11th, 12th, something like that. It wasn't a good placing, but he did stick in my mind. He was someone I just thought, this guy is good. He's carrying real thickness, real detail. And the photos, I don't know how, I'm assuming they've been taken in the last few days. That condition, if that translates to the stage and he can bring that and as good as it looks in all, I saw the photos today. It was on an Instagram account. Somebody, some account shared all these pictures, and every single angle, every single pose, he is stacked. I mean, that guy has got some serious, he's got like Hunter Labrada thickness and the condition. He's really taken a step up in his condition. So I'm telling you, that guy could be in the top 5, 100%.
Absolutely. I've seen him a few times, and every time I saw him, I just wanted to see a little more crispness, a little more condition, because he's so thick and so round and full. And he's awesome. He was in better condition based on his Instagram photos 2 or 3 weeks ago than I've ever seen him on stage. So if everything goes well and, he doesn't do anything crazy, I don't think he will. I know his coach, Dave Kalick, and I think that he's going to cruise in right on track. So let's be on the lookout for him. I will be for sure.
Top 5. He's top 5. I'll call it now.
Okay, fair enough. 212 division. This is the debut as a 212 for George the Bull Peterson, who was 192 pounds for 3 years in a row at the Olympia and took 3rd place. And now he has it's going to be about a full 20 pounds more with the same or better condition. It's mind-boggling to even just think about. But I mean, that's a favorite right there for sure. George Peterson, my goodness.
I need to correct you slightly. I think he weighed in. He told me, because we had lunch at the Olympia, and he said because I've had him a couple of times on Global, and he said his cutoff was 100. He was 191 pounds when he weighed in for the Olympia in the Classic last year. But he said by the time he made it to the stage, he was probably more like 197, 198. Okay. Now, we had him on like Global the other week, and he was in good condition, like sharp condition, at 4 weeks out. I think it was 4 weeks out at 234.
Wow.
So I said to him, I said, you're struggling now. You've been struggling to make classic for the last 2 years. I said, you're coming into the 212 as a step up. I said, you're going to struggle to make 212. And don't forget, if he's one of these guys that kind of weighs in and has to pull down and he fills out 6-7 pounds, he could be like 218, maybe 219 by the time he steps on stage at 212. And with that tiny little waist and obviously the new mass, because what's that, 198? So say he's 198. Say he's 218, 219. That's like 20, like you said, 20 pounds heavier on a guy that's 5'8". That's incredible. And with that detail, wow.
I mean, I don't want to make it seem like the other guys are in trouble, but he's going to be very hard to beat. But there are a few other guys who are going to be up there in that first call out. This Derik Bo Lewis, I don't know how familiar you are with Derik, but he's very, very much improved since last year. He was second in the Puerto Rico Pro last year to Eduardo Correa. He's only done a few shows. He turned pro as a master over 40 at the Team Universe. Yeah, so he's 42 years old, new pro. And man, he's the arms, the shoulders, back. He's just a very thick, round, full guy, and he's working so hard to come in conditioned. He wants to win this show badly. Even with George in the show, he says, "Nope, I got to win. I got to win." So he's the man on a mission.
He messaged last week and he said, "Look, I'm going for the win." He said, "I'm going for the win, Giles." And I looked at him from every angle, looked at his poses. He's got nice shape. He's got good condition, good detail, and you can see he's really, really gunning hard on the condition for this one, which he's going to have to if he's going up against George Peterson. Because George Peterson, for me, I mean, give me any names that were in better condition at the Olympia for the last 2 years than George Peterson. I can't think of anyone. I literally can't think of anyone to mind.
Kamal El Gardney. No, maybe.
Condition, yeah. But like that kind of real, so if Derik, he's going to, I think he's really good. He's definitely one to watch. And he's really, really made some good improvements in the last year. So I'm really excited to see what he brings.
So who else we got? We got Derek Osland, another local guy from Florida. So he was second at the Tampa 2 years ago. It was the 2018 Tampa. And he's much, much bigger and much, much leaner now than he was then. He's drastically improved. I don't know if you see Weapon X IFBB Pro, and the weights. He posted up a video this morning. It's a hammer incline press. I think he had like 8 plates on each side or something, and plates on this bar and that bar. It's crazy motivated, crazy strong, very, very highly motivated to win this show. Because he's out of Tampa too. He wants the hometown win for sure.
Well, with Derik, he came second to Nicolas Vouliud in 2018, and it really seemed that he was kind of really on the rise. And then last year I had him on Global, and then he was kind of getting 8s and 9s at shows, and it was a real kind of it was a bit of a flop for him last year. And I remember speaking to him, and he was saying like you could see it really hurt him last year, and he's like, right, okay, I'm going to come back, I'm going to put a lot of size on, I'm going to go away, I'm going to work hard. And the photos, I mean, he's lighting up Instagram with some of the pictures he's been putting out, because you can just see, because he's got, like you said, he's that X shape. He's got the tiny waist, the taper that almost goes at like a 45-degree angle. He's just very visually pleasing physique. And I think he's going to be, because he was one of the lighter 212s, but I think he's going to be really right up towards the 212 limit, because he looks like he's put a ton of size on.
He did.
And I'm really excited to see what he's bringing out. He's going to be first call out. He's going to be, there's a guy that could be, really battling out with Derik and George 100%.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago, one of the knocks I had on him, I loved his structure, shape, and everything, but I said he needs more size, especially in the back, and he did a great job. Most guys, they don't really ever, if their back is mediocre, it's very rare that they ever have a great back, and he's getting there. He's very close. Yeah. It's pretty impressive. Let's see, we got another Derik Farnsworth. He turns 50 years old at the show. Yeah. So he's almost as old as me. He's a little younger, but man, he's legendary, and he's been around forever. He was, the original days of the Team Universe back in the early 90s. He was winning the classes back then. Old man muscle, detailed, dense, separated, dry, bringing the condition. I think Derik Farnsworth might be surprised at this show too.
I rate him. No, I really rate him. I think he's really good. He's still managed to continue to improve. He's good, fantastic legs, great condition. Isn't he a very good poser as well? So, yeah, I'm really excited to see him. Very, very well-known figure as well in the industry because he's very known for his sports massage and all that, and he's a very well-liked guy. So he's going to be a real crowd favorite. So I'm really excited to see him in this show.
Local guy from Florida, Santi Aragon, who's been doing classic. Most of the time he's classic. It seems occasionally he jumps in and does a 212 show. But man, he's another one who, when I first saw him, I said, this guy needs more size, especially in the back. And he's really put the work in. He's much improved since the first time I remember seeing him compete. Great hair. He's got the hair up in the big spiky thing. And he's just got a real fresh look.
He had it done today. He was in the barbers today. And he's had it done, especially for the show this weekend. I was loving it because aside from his physique, he seems like he's got a great personality and he's a real kind of bright spark. And he really he's got that real kind of superstar quality. When we saw it at the Arnold, was he fourth at the Arnold?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think fourth place. And
I got it right here. He was second at Classic last year in Puerto Rico. Yeah. He just didn't do the Arnold this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe he was fourth or fifth. He was up there. Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic. Do you know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of the kind of the 90s pros before the 212.
Sixth place. I'm sorry. He was sixth place at this Arnold. I'm sorry. Sixth. Right. Yeah.
But he was absolutely, he really stood out to me. I love his detail, the striations. I love he's very compact. He's a great presentation. He's a real kind of, he's a real sort of, your eyes are really drawn to him. So I'm really excited. In fact, might be getting him on Global very soon.
Season 3, everybody. Season 3 will be out before they see this. So make sure you go back on YouTube if you haven't already watched it and watch the premiere of Global Muscle Season 3. They have leveled up, guys, in every way possible. Every way possible. Last guy I want to talk about in the 212s is Aaron Clark. Because Aaron was a very, very good 212 a few years back. I believe he was like top 5 or 6 at the Olympia. I think he was 6th. Won the New York Pro. He was on the fast track and then sort of fell off. Did a couple shows where he looked, not very good. But pictures I've been seeing of him, and I had him on Ronline a little while back. He seems like he's on the comeback trail, and I'd love to see him do well and sort of get back on track, because he was somebody I was watching to get up in the, we need 212 stars. We always need more champs. So looking for Aaron.
The 2 names that really kind of were popped into my head when I was looking through Instagram and on social media the last couple of days were Aaron Clark and Dorian Haywood, because I saw Aaron Clark's pictures today, and because it's when you get someone that kind of hits the ground running and they're winning like New York Pros and they're 25 years old and they're so complete and so detailed and they're winning big shows from the outset. You kind of want the best for them. You want to see them go on. So when they drop off really hard, it's such a disappointment. And the thing is, he's only 31, I believe now. Is he 31, 32?
Yeah. He's still very young.
Yeah, and the photos I saw, I think it was today. And they were from every angle. I just thought, I hope he holds that condition, because I think maybe he's another one. This is where the kind of the lockdown and everything has kind of benefited some, because they've had to stay on prep longer because they've been staying in condition just on the off chance there are shows and then they jump in. So the guys are on prep. And if obviously when you've prepped. And I remember I did 4 shows in a row once, literally over 4 or 5 weeks. And I just got better and better at every single one. And because when that skin's nice and thin and like Hunter Labrador, when you stay in condition, you just get better and better, and the details and obviously all the good being on prep and the training and the diet, all being absolutely doing everything right. So I'm really, really happy to see this guy back, and I would love to see this guy not bombing out again, because he is so good, and also because something was going a bit wrong with his legs a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
They were a weird shape, but the shape seems to be coming back now, and I was like, okay. So I looked at the side poses today, looked good, rear, and the rear relaxed shot. He reminded me of Dorian, the lines and the traps going across. It was just I was like, oh man, I'm really excited to see this guy on stage in Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, we all love to see an underdog make a successful comeback. So I'm rooting for the guy for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Classic physique, a big lineup, but I was not familiar with most of the names. The one name that stood out to me was a guy named Divine Wilson, who, if you recall, he was second to George Peterson in Tampa in 2017 Classic. And then in 2018, the New York Pro, second to Regan Grimes out of like 35 guys. So Divine Wilson, beautiful shape, structure, proportions. I don't know all the other guys, but right now I'm going to call Divine Wilson as my favorite, probably to win this Classic division in Tampa. Do you remember Divine?
I can't recall him right now, and I'm not even not gonna lie.
Yeah, he didn't do a lot. He hasn't done a lot of shows.
Literally one of the only names I know out of this one is Aaron Sparrenberg from Texas. He's sponsored by Ronnie Coleman, and he's a good guy, great physique, very unbelievable condition. He's a little bit older as well, so he's got that kind of real muscle maturity. Really good personality, great guy. So I'm excited to see him. But the good thing about all this is it means there's a load of new faces that are going to get the opportunity to be top three in a big show like Tampa. So they're going to be able to establish themselves in a show like this rather than kind of big names coming in and just filling up the top three or top five spots. So it gives chance for the new guys to come through and get their names and physiques known.
I think we're going to see a lot of that at these shows because of the lockdown, the quarantine, where some people were, had different circumstances where they had a gym to train at and some didn't. So we're going to see people that maybe wouldn't have done so well or had a good look. They're going to get an opportunity this year to shine. Biggest division in this show, number-wise, is men's physique. There's like 45 of them. But immediately I see Andre Ferguson in the lineup. Andre Ferguson, of course, he's won the Arnold Classic for the last 3 years in a row. He was just second at the Olympia. I don't know all these other guys, but Andre is definitely heavy favorite. The guy's just very well put together. He's the classic physique poster boy pretty much with those delts and the little waist and all that. So yeah. If Andre gets beat, I want to see the guy that can beat him. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, or he's forgot to diet or something. But Andre is he's really good. And I hate it. I don't like saying the judges like him because that maybe is not detrimental, but the judges do like him. They're familiar with him, so he's going to be. And the thing is, I've got a feeling this Tampa show is going to be a really conditioned show. Because of the lockdown and people being on prep so much longer. I think it's going to be because I love conditioning, and I think there's no excuse to. These guys are great physiques, big names coming in out of condition. There's no excuse for it. So I think this is going to be a really good Tampa show, really good for conditioning, because just purely for the fact that everyone's been on prep since bloody January.
Yeah, most of the people I've talked to who are doing Tampa, they had targeted New York Pro, Boston Pro, Chicago Pro. So like you said, these people, they've been dieting, they've been getting leaner and leaner and holding that condition. And I think it's going to work out, like you said, for the best. Next division I want to talk about real quick, women's bodybuilding. I wasn't familiar with some of the names, but I did recognize Janine Lankowski, who was third place last year here. Very good, very good package with size, shape, conditioning. She's got really cool hair with the long dreadlock braids thing and the shaved on the sides. It's a unique look. I dig that. And then, of course, LaDawn McDay is in the show. She was 7th in Tampa last year, 5th in Chicago last year. Beautiful woman with just very nice proportions, shape. Not as massive, but more of a streamlined look. So it'll be, I'm not saying that's going to be the two to battle it out, but it very, very well might be. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Moving on to fitness. Not a huge lineup, but I immediately saw second place of the Arnold Classic, Ariel Kader. Oh, she's going to kill me. I'm sure I butcher her last name every time. It's Ariel and then Khadr. Kader. Anyway, yeah, I mean, she's phenomenal. She's my pick for the fitness. The routines are just spellbinding with her. I remember the Predator mask. That was probably my favorite one. But
the Olympia.
She did that at the Olympia a couple of years back, I think 2017. But
tell you what, though, I've never been as excited as for the fitness class this year. Like, because the Olympia, you've got Oksana Grashina coming back. You've got Whitney Jones, 2-time Olympia champion. Oksana's won four Olympias. You've got Missy Truscott, the runner-up of the Olympia last year. You've got
Adela Garcia,
of course, yeah.
What's she like,
So
7-time champ? Something like that.
50-time Olympia champion. And I mean, I just that alone, and the fact that you got Oksana versus Missy, and Oksana was prepping Missy, and they all kind of it's going to be so exciting. It's going to be so exciting because you know what? Because like when you go sometimes to the qualifiers and stuff like that, you'll get someone like an Ariel Kadur, and then you get one other good one, and some of the others you think, you know, it's not a spectacle because they've either got really good physiques and rubbish routines or the other way around. Yeah. But when you go to the Olympia and you get these top names like that, I mean, it is something to be. It's like a real showpiece, you know, to see these girls. You know, they're just absolutely incredible. So I'm at this, like I said, I'm especially interested in the fitness class this year. I think it's going to be really, it's going to be the best ever. It has to be. It has to be because you've got literally the last. I mean, probably every Olympia since the categories for the last 15 years, you've got them in the show. You know, I don't think there's anyone. I'm trying to think of anyone we've missed out. I mean, literally so. The last
Rael,
15
did
years.
You say Rael grab? Did you say Rael Grabber? She's really good too.
Yeah, she's very good as well. Yeah.
And,
so yeah.
Who's the one? Kate Arrington, also very good. I mean,
she's very good. Yeah,
it's gonna be a stacked fitness. And fitness. Mike Cox has said this, and I'll echo it. You've said it too. I believe it's the hardest division because they have to have the same physique that would win women's physique or figure, that level of conditioning and everything else. And they're the only ones who actually do something athletic, and it's very athletic with the flips and the one-arm push-ups and handstands. And these women they're pretty amazing.
I mean, can you imagine having to sort of dry out and prep and bring your physique? That's why I really rate Missy Truscott, because I remember when the Arnold Classic, she came out and she had by far the best physique. And I said to you, I said, well, she's won this because she's the best. She's obviously won this round by a mile, and she is going to have the best, if not one of the best routines tonight. So that alone, as soon as she walked down in the first round, I said, she's won this. Yeah. That's why I'm excited to see what Oksana's going to bring. Because I think Oksana and Whitney have Oksana and Missy have the best physiques. Yeah. But obviously they're going up against the other girls who've got, you know, especially good routines. So it's going to be a real battle this year.
Okay. So figure, the name that stood out to me out of the figure lineup was from Mexico, Sandra Grajales, who was 10th place at the Olympia. And if you're going by just where they're ranked, she's the only top 10 Olympian in this. And I guess we'll see. We'll see who else shows up and how they look next to Sandra. But that's my pick right now is Sandra Grajales. You've seen Sandra many times, correct?
Very good. Yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome. She's like really in the. I see her as a little bit higher than sort of 10th best in the world. I think she's in the top 6, really. I think she's and it'd be interesting to see if she's made any improvements, because she's another one that could be knocking on that top 3 really at the Olympia. I think she's that good.
Yeah, women's physique. I didn't see any favorites. I did recognize some names. After the judging, Mike Cox and I will definitely break down who we feel is the favorite to win the show. But as of now, it's anyone's show. Bikini, though, is interesting. We have Jennifer Dory, 5th place from the last Olympia. Jennifer Ronzetti, 7th place from the last Olympia, and also the Chicago Pro Champ. And 2-time figure Olympia champion Erin Stern switching over to bikini for this. So and she's 40 years old. So God bless her. Yeah. But
she's not missed a beat, that woman. Is she two-time fitness Olympia winner, isn't she?
Figure. She won the figure in 2010 and 2012. So
all she has to do is just lose a little bit of muscle, and she's gonna have such a beautiful shape. In fact, I'm interested to see how she looks, because as you know, I think the pro bikini now are just too thin. I'd like to see a slightly like how it was sort of 7-8 years ago, a little bit more muscle, so there's at least a bit more shape, you know. Because I'd like to see a return to that, because I think, especially with the introduction of the wellness class now, I think it's you don't want to have them. Yeah, I think it's But Jennifer Dory, she's very good. She's really sweet as well. We had her on Global Muscle. Lovely girl. Partners with Mark Anthony, isn't she?
She's got the cool curly black hair. You got to dig that. So.
Yeah. She's beautiful. And, she's lovely.
Wellness division. This is the first time. I think they've had a pro wellness show somewhere already, or is this the first one? Boy, I should have looked into that a little better. But this might be the first one. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. But I think this is the first wellness, because they didn't have it at the Arnold, and we have had a couple smaller pro shows so far. Hector was out in Nebraska for one, But as far as I'm concerned, this is the first one because this is the first one I'm going to be at. I didn't
Okay.
recognize any of the names on the entries, but very, very much looking forward to seeing this brand new division, seeing what kind of physiques they bring and how it's judged. Because it's just like when any new division starts, it's an unknown, and you don't really know what to expect. So I'm very curious.
Well, being a head judge for wellness in the NPC Worldwide in the UK for the Two Bros, last 2018, I was head judge twice. It's been around, obviously, in the UK and Europe and different parts of the old IFBB. It's been around for a few years, so it's really kind of gaining traction over in the UK. And to be honest, like Hector's done a really good idea sort of jumping on this because it is absolutely exploding, this category, because it just, I think this is going to, 2-3 years, I could see it being bigger than bikini. I really could. I really could. Because, it's, for me, it's a much more appealing look. It's a much, it's the girls, some of the girls aren't, those girls certainly aren't dieting on 1,200 calories and doing 3 hours of cardio a day and, messing up their thyroids and stuff like that, because it's, it just looks, it's a better look. Of course, it's a better look. They're thicker, they've got more muscle, they're not shredded, so they don't have to take it to the extremes, So for me, it's going to attract more people. I mean, there was a gym down south, and he had a wellness seminar, and he said, Giles, he said, I've had like top pros here. He says, and this, I've never seen like such a level of interest. He said, the place was rammed because all these girls just, wanting to be involved and wanting to do it because it's drawing the numbers in. And I'm telling you, it's going to be absolutely huge. I think it could be bigger. It could possibly be bigger than women's physique. I don't know because
no, I think so. Because there's a lot of women who are. This is a division that a lot of women have been waiting for because a lot of women, they train very hard, but they've just never been able to add the upper body mass. But they've had these no problem getting big, well-developed glutes, hams, quads, calves, but they had nowhere to compete because without the big arms and shoulders and lats, they were kind of out of luck. But now, where it's more focused on lower body, people can argue that that's kind of silly that you should have a whole division that's sort of bottom heavy. But I've been looking at these physiques and they're well developed all over. They just happen to have a little more muscle in the lower body. I'm very, very much in anticipation of this. I think it's going to do well. Yeah. No,
totally agree. I tell you what, I'd love to have this same conversation in a year or two and talk about how we were kind of speculating it was going to go absolutely huge, because I think even by this time next year, it's going to be probably the biggest female class. I really do. I could see it outgrowing the bikini. In fact, I want it to, because of my own personal feelings on where the bikini's gone versus, what the wellness is. Because at the end of the day, it's for a lot of girls are switching from figure because they don't want to get into the level of condition they have to do well in figure, because figure, some of the top figure girls, they're in the same sort of condition that the women's physique or the bodybuilding girls are in. And that's quite an extreme level of conditioning for women to get. So for this class to take off, it's not going to take a lot, because it's, like I said, you can just tell by the way it's kind of just exploded overnight. I mean, it's just incredible. Like I said, I can talk about obviously how it's gone over this side of the world, and it's huge, and there's a lot of real passion and real interest for it.
Yeah, I mean, I keep making the same joke over and over again until I'm going to keep doing it until somebody actually laughs. I say there should be two divisions for pro wellness. It's Brazilians, and everyone else. Thank you very much. But seriously, folks, no, I mean, they would definitely they had the division long before everyone else, I believe. So they will have a little bit of a head start, but I think the rest of the world will catch up fast. Well, Giles, I made you laugh so hard with my wellness joke that it froze up on screen. But that's it. That is our preview for Tampa Pro. I wish you were there. I really wish you could be there with us. It's going to be me, Hector. I think, who else? Big Mike Cox, of course, is going to be there doing wrap-ups. We got Sean Carla. He's going to do the bikini wrap-up with us. AJ hooked that up. Thanks to AJ. So,
good.
We'll run into all kinds of characters and industry people there and grab all kinds of interviews. It's going to be a really cool weekend. I don't know if we're gonna have to wear the mask when we do the interviews. That's going to be kind of weird. We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be. Oh man, we got to socially distance, get a really long mic.
No, I mean, 6 feet. We're supposed to stay 6 feet away from each other, right? We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll figure it out.
I think this is going to be a real, I think there's going to be a really good atmosphere. I think things like wearing masks and stuff, I think people are not going to be bothered about that, because we haven't had shows since the Arnold Classic. When it's just been the last few months. It's affected everyone. Everyone's been stressed out. Everyone's been stuck inside, or they've been sick, or they know people that have died, and it's a real kind of celebration for everyone to kind of come out and. And Tim Gardner, and I'm glad it's a Tim Gardner show that's starting back because he's such a good promoter. I mean, you got like Chris Mins and Steve Weinberger. These guys are fantastic show promoters. So I really, because I saw on Tim's Instagram, it's like even the Host Hotel completely sold out about 2 weeks ago. So that's a big hotel. For people, I think it's gonna get absolutely swarmed. I really do. I think it's gonna be a really busy show. And like I said, and I think it's going to create a real buzz and excitement for the next few shows now that and hopefully we can just start to put this last few months behind us and kind of just look forward, because it's obviously this is all building up to the Olympia in December. And so it's the next few months, I think, are going to be really exciting. And I think we're going to have a new appreciation as well for even just being able to sort of be in the same room as our friends and people, and being able to see those competitors and finally, all those people who've been on prep for months and double prep time, it's going to be a real. I'm envious because I'd love to feel that atmosphere, because it's a real special show, the Tampa. I've got very fond memories of it, and I just wish Tim and all the competitors all the best.
I miss the smell of Protan. It smells like victory. But I want to encourage everyone to check out the play-by-play on musculardevelopment.com. We're going to start that off Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. For the judging, that's going to be women's bodybuilding, men's physique, women's physique, classic physique, and 212. 4 p.m. Friday, the finals for that. Saturday, 11 a.m., we have judging for fitness, figure, wellness, bikini, and open bodybuilding. 4 p.m. finals. Going to be a great show, guys. Please follow along on musculardevelopment.com and on our YouTube channel, which you should know. You're watching it right now. So that's it, man. Like I said, wish you could be there, Giles. I really do believe it's going to be a good time and a success. So yeah. Encourage everyone to check out Global Muscle Season 3. That's already, by the time you see this, that's up. So if you haven't watched it, go back and check that out. They did a bang up job, guys. I've seen all the improvements. It's not the same show. It's leveled up quite significantly. So
we're getting there, man.
We're
getting there slowly. I mean, it's all about the incremental, consistent improvements. Every single week we tried to make little tweaks. And then we took this little break after the end of season 2 to try and really level a game up. And I've invested some more money into some new equipment and stuff. So it's really, I really appreciate everyone sticking with it and watching the show and supporting the show. And obviously MD sort of helping us, grow it and everything. So we'll keep pushing and working hard our end, So we love what we do. So it's a pleasure.
It is a show that is on the rise, as we say. That's your phrase. I can't steal it. You and AJ came up with that. All right. Hey, Giles, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time. Again, it's going to be a cool show. Hope you guys all check out the coverage, and we'll see you next time.